Hello. I'm
Hello.
imagining that you're Iranian.
Yes, I am. Well
Well,
spotted.
well,
First ever interview I've done where you got my name right on the first try.
oh, gosh, I'm sure. Trust me, I've been there.
Yeah, relatable. Okay, so you hurt my feelings. The movie, you did not obviously hurt my feelings. What spoke to you? What about it spoke to you as a project?
Nicole Holofcener and Julia Louis-Dreyfus were the two main engines. I've seen Nicole's work since the '90s, Walking and Talking, and pieces throughout, and I grew up with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I grew up with that show Seinfeld, and I wanted to understand how they made all the jokes. I wanted to understand, I was obsessed with
Yeah.
it. That was the first thing. Because I also know with Nicole's work, you're going to get something very honest.
Mhm.
She's looking for like really honest, simple, tragic, hilarious people.
Yeah.
So that's those are the reasons.
Right. like like touching on that, it's very honest, very tragic. The arts in general can sometimes be so thankless as a profession, and I think that's something that the movie touches on really well with like Mark and obviously with Beth. So what do you think in those moments is the key to like staying motivated?
God, that is a great question, isn't it? You just need little pieces of validation along the way to like, so sometimes like a good audition could be like 3 weeks of positivity.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Um, but sometimes you get only an audition once, every 6 months. So then all of a sudden you're putting a lot of eggs in that validation basket, which might
Right.
not kind of come through. So I think one way of doing it is just trying to get more at bats, I guess, to try to get out there more. So, you can take the hits more. It's a tough thing. I have so
Yeah.
many, I teach high school students and have so many actors that quit at 23, 24, 25. And I get it because it's too hard or they don't really love it. And so it's a hard thing to kind of just know what you are supposed to do. It's tough. And so I can imagine a lot of people like getting real down real quick.
So obviously you are a successful actor, but did you ever hit that point like Mark did where you're just like, there is like, is this path worth it? What's the point? I'm sure you must have, maybe.
I mean, yeah, totally. I've been doing this for 21
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
and then most people have
Yeah.
only just seen me for 6 of those 21 years. Yeah, no, yeah, oh, totally. I still have those
Yeah.
feelings sometimes, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, the feeling doesn't go away. Um, it's too real.
Right.
You can do one. I know friends of mine that are geniuses, Emmy winners, Oscar winners that do one play, to get one bad review and want to run away. It's so real. It's so hard. It's a tricky beast trying to be an artist
Mhm.
in this world.
And I think that's something the movie, like throughout the whole thing, just captured so well, like how
So
painful it can
well.
be.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So pivoting just a second for Succession, one of the projects people recently know you for, and the slightly terrifying Stewy Hosseini. Were there any kind of off-screen elements that informed how you played him? Like, did you make a backstory beyond what we already know, or?
Not, you know, well, we kind of, it was all just kind of shared. I mean that by Jesse and I had a conversation about where, like about him being Iranian
Mhm.
and when he came over and all that. But after we had that conversation, I was very honest. I was like, whatever we decide here, it doesn't have to be talked about in the show. I think part of what I was really hoping for is that we can leave him being Stewy Hosseini and people just accept him for what he is, that happens to be Iranian and at that level. I think that, it's not he's not defining him, that was very important to me. Um, yeah, and it's the relationships of, I've known Jeremy since, he was 19 or I was 19 and he was 20 or something. And it's a lot of these actors are in the theater community. So I've seen them around and we've hung out at things. And so, a lot of that backstory is just feeling safe in this like environment to like act in the best way that you can. And that was done pretty quickly because of, just how we all kind of like knew each other.
You kind of had that bond. It's just like in a different context now.
Yeah, exactly.
As an actor, if you're jumping between genres to something super grounded, like You Hurt My Feelings, and then upcoming House of Spoils, which is like more on the horror side, is that something that you feel when you're performing, or is there like, does it just kind of distill down to the truth of your character and the genre doesn't really come into it?
You mentioned four things that are like, completely have different mindsets, but let's talk about, You Hurt My Feelings. You Hurt My Feelings. Nicole has written truthful characters and they have to be really deeply truthful. We know that it's funny. We can't worry too much about all the jokes all the time. We have to worry about making it so truthful. You know what I mean? And so, in that way, and we have Nicole. So as a writer, as the writer director, it's very easy for us to like lean into her. But for something like A House of Spoils that you just mentioned, we're also telling a psychological thriller horror. Do you know what I mean? Like, so we also know what genre we're in. So you're trying to be truthful, but you're also trying to live in the world of this story. I was told this when I was doing Inventing Anna by like the Shonda team that I act a little bit like a writer. And because I'm really interested about the truth, but I'm also interested about story and what the story does to a thing. So in A Doll's House right now, Torvald is notoriously like a real kind of hated character in the theater. And that's a tricky thing, And at the end of this story, Nora has to, leave. And we want the story to be that this is some sort of moment of like strength and power and exuberance, And so in that scenario, I, as the actor, know that I have to be also somehow defeated. Right. So I'm thinking as a writer as well as an actor and also trying to find the truth. So it just depends from project to project. A long answer to your very simple question.
So you mentioned you're thinking as an actor, as a writer. You are also a director. The Accent on the Wolf season 3 just came out. Are you eyeing another chance to sit in the director's chair? Maybe kind of once things calm down post A Doll's House?
I think there's a couple things in the works for me being as a writer and director that hopefully the world will find out about soon. Yeah, I think that's a big path of where I'm trying to move towards.
So I want to circle back to A Doll's House for a second. I'm going to tie these two together. You've been a very vocal proponent of the ongoing freedom movement in Iran, something obviously very close to my heart. And I want to know, because there's not much people can do beyond like amplification, what role do you think art plays in keeping causes like this alive?
It is the most essential portion. Art is the most essential portion for forward movement in society. The only two things that we have in society to look back on are wars, are all the wars that we fought, and all the art that has survived. Those are the two things that have remained since the beginning of time: the art and the wars. And so, really, I have dedicated my life with Waterwell, my nonprofit, and with causes like Women, Life, Freedom, to say that art is an essential tool for that forward momentum. It may be the most essential, because if you get people with a piece of art to understand the plight and the hatred that women have under the Islamic regime, and you get to people to empathize with that and understand and put themselves in that shoes, in those shoes, you start to get to see a world that you didn't know anything about. And start realizing, well, that is unjust. And art is a very easy mechanism for people to do that, because we are in the game of empathy giving. That's what we do. We're going to empathize with our characters in the theater and in film and TV. And your job is to care about them in some sort of way or not. And so I think it's very essential. And I think so much of the movement and the revolution has been happening because of the iPhone and videos that people have been making, and making little pieces of art that's come out of that. I think, the most important one being the song Baraye, which Shervin Hajipour was imprisoned for, and just recently won a Grammy for this like social action song. That is the new anthem of the Iranian movement without any question. Every Iranian knows every word of that. A piece of art did that. I think it's essential.
And so tying it back to kind of wrap it up with You Hurt My Feelings, for the creative types that go see it, what are you hoping that their takeaway will be? Like walking out of the theater.
I'm in love with these two couples. I really am in love with these couples. I think they are navigating some tricky waters, with healthy expectations. They're doing it well. And what I hope creatives take out of it is that it's funny. I went to do the positive. What should creatives say? That was your question. These are creatives. I think we all have to get ready we have to have thicker skin. We have to be able to take stuff, and I think that might not happen in any short lifetime, but I think because we're just also imperfect people. But I think it's one thing that we can all learn from is just to like make sure that we can hear it from the ones closest to us. I guess I'm really speaking to myself, which
I guess is important. You wanna have that kind of
my wife
with your character, right?
I do, but my wife also, like, even if she doesn't like it, she's just gonna give me a couple of weeks of just like love. Just like, okay, great, that's fine, that's awesome. I prefer that.